This is a Fonzie Studio podcast. Welcome to Tales from the First Nations. I'm Jay Idle, and every week I'll share with you a tale and ancient wisdom of the native tribes of North America. I'll be joined by my cats, Dawa and Fonzie, who will undoubtedly make their presence known at some point, so I might as well just list them as co-hosts. We hope you'll enjoy the tales and wisdom, raise your vibration, and enrich your life with us every week. Greetings, friends. I'm Jay Idle. Welcome to Tales from the First Nations. I'm both excited and a little reluctant to begin this new project with you. See, I worked in radio for 8 years before life circumstances put me on another path. And then after about 4 years of enjoying listening to podcasts, I decided to jump in and give it a try for myself. I have a lot of different podcasts with a lot of different themes on my podcast player list, and one of the things that always came up missing was stories and traditions about the First Nations people. I had the joyous opportunity several years ago to attend a powwow in my hometown with some of my friends who are descendants of First Nation ancestors. I loved the dancing, the drumming, and most of all, the storytelling. From time to time, I continue to search for podcasts sharing their stories and traditions and teachings, but I always came up empty. So recently I discovered a fantastic YouTube channel called Jaguar Bird, and my goal was to reach out to the person who ran that channel and work with them to put together a podcast, but unfortunately the channel doesn't have any contact information on it at all. So I was really disappointed because I thought it would be wonderful to meet and work with them because they're so clearly rooted in the community and so passionate about sharing the stories. And while I myself have absolutely no First Nation blood, I do connect with the stories and the teachings, and I really wanted to help share them and learn from them and help others learn from them. And I thought that this would be a fantastic platform to do that. So hopefully someday the person behind the wonderful Jaguar Bird will reach out to me and we can partner on telling these fantastic stories and share their fantastic teachings. I think it'd be fantastic. But for now, I'll just have to do my best to treat these stories with the amount of care and respect that they deserve. So today I wanted to start the first podcast off with the most spiritual and important figure in many of the North American indigenous nations, the story of Pataskawin. Another thing I feel I should apologize for in advance is that because I wasn't brought up with these stories or in these communities, my pronunciation is probably going to be off on several occasions. I've done the best research I can to try and figure out pronunciation, but in the case of Pataskawin, I found multiple pronunciations, so I just picked the one that I hope was right. Feel free to reach out to me and correct me if my pronunciations are wrong, and I will make corrections. In the story of Pataskawin, we find a connection of wisdom and spirituality. It's a time of divine comfort in a time of turmoil for the Lakota people. And as it is 2024, and one might have noticed a bit of turmoil in the world, maybe here or there, I thought it might be a good story for us to begin with. The White Buffalo Calf Woman legend is ancient. It's a story that's been told for about 2,000 years. It's central to the spiritual practices of many North American indigenous nations. Chief Arvoil Looking Horse, a 19th generation keeper of the sacred White Buffalo Calf Pipe of the Lakota Nation, once said, "It was told that the next time there is chaos and disparity, she would return again." She said she would return as a white buffalo calf, and some believe she already has. Crow Dog, another famous medicine person, said, "This holy woman brought the sacred buffalo calf pipe to the Sioux. There could be no Indians without it. Before she came, people didn't know how to live. They knew nothing. The buffalo woman put her sacred mind into their minds." At the ritual of the sun dance, one woman, usually a mature and universally respected member of the tribe, is given the honor of representing White Buffalo Calf Woman. So let's learn about Petaskawin, or the White Buffalo Calf Woman. Many years ago, so long ago that nobody knows how long, the 7 sacred council fires of the Lakota Nation came together and camped. The sun shone all the time, but there was no game, and the people were starving. Every day they sent scouts to look for game, but the scouts found nothing and returned empty-handed to their starving people. Among the bands assembled were the Itezipcho, the Without Bows, and they had their own camp circle under their chief, Standing Hollowhorn. Early one morning, the chief sent 2 of his young men to hunt for game. They searched everywhere, but also could find nothing. Seeing a high hill, they decided to climb it in order to look out over the whole country. Well, halfway up, they saw something coming towards them from far off, but the figure was floating instead of walking. From this, they knew that the person was Waken. They were holy. At first, they could make out only a small moving speck and had to squint to see that it was a human form. But as the figure came nearer, they realized that it was a beautiful young woman, more beautiful than any they had ever seen in their life. She wore white buckskin, tanned until it shone a long way in the sun. It was embroidered with sacred designs of porcupine quill in radiant colors that no ordinary woman could have made. The Waken stranger was Petaskawin, the White Buffalo Calf Woman. In her hands, she carried a large bundle and a fan of sage leaves. She wore her blue-black hair loose, except for a strand at the left side, which was tied up with buffalo fur. Her eyes shone dark and sparkling, with great power in them. The 2 young men looked at her open-mouthed. One was overawed, but the other desired her and stretched his hand out to touch her. This woman was very sacred and could not be treated with disrespect. Lightning instantly struck the brash young man and burned him up, so that only a small heap of blackened bone and ashes were left. Some say that he was suddenly covered by a cloud, and within it he was eaten up by snakes that left only his skeleton. But either way, he is no longer part of the story. Now, the other scout, who had behaved rightly, the White Buffalo Calf Woman, said, "Good things I am bringing, something holy to your nation, a message I carry for your people, for the Buffalo Nation. Go back to the camp and tell the people to prepare for my arrival. Tell your chief to put up a medicine lodge with 24 poles. Let it be made holy for my coming." This young hunter returned to the camp, and he told the chief and all the people what the sacred woman had commanded. The chief told the crier, and the crier went out through the camp, circled around, calling, "Someone sacred is coming. A holy woman approaches. Make all things ready for her." So the people put up the big medicine teepee and waited. After 4 days, the White Buffalo Woman appeared to them as a white buffalo calf, descending on a cloud. Now, stepping down, she rolled over onto the ground, changing from white to black. Then again, turning yellow, and again, then red. The White Buffalo Calf Woman arose. She was again the beautiful woman cradling the sacred bundle in her arms. Spending 4 days with the people, White Buffalo Calf Woman taught them sacred songs, dances, and ceremonies, as well as other traditional ways. The White Buffalo Calf Woman instructed them that Creator is the only owner of Mother Earth, that we are to be responsible caretakers of the land, and to always be mindful that the children are the future of the people. The chief, Standing Hollowhorn, invited her to enter the medicine lodge. She went in and circled the interior, sunwise. The chief addressed her respectfully, saying, "Sister, we are glad you have come to instruct us." She told him what she wanted done. In the center of the lodge, they were to put up a sacred altar made of red earth with buffalo skull and a 4-stick holder for a holy object that she had brought. They did as she directed. She showed them how to do all of this and then circled the lodge again, sunwise. Halting before the chief, she now opened the bundle. The holy object contained within it was the sacred pipe. She held it out to the people and let them look at it. She was holding the stem gently in her right hand and cradling the bowl in her left, and thus the pipe has been held this way ever since. White Buffalo Calf Woman then gave the pipe to the chief's care, detailing the ways in which the people could learn to grow into respectable keepers of the pipe, cultivating peace and understanding. One of her gifts was the suggestion that all children be taught to hold baby animals with love and care, so that as they grow, they will learn to love all the other babies of the world. Again, the chief spoke, saying, "Sister, we are glad you are here, but we have no meat and have had no meat for some time. All we can give you is water." They dipped some sweet grass into a skin bag of water and gave it to her, and to this day, the people dip sweet grass and eagle feather in water and sprinkle it on a person to be purified. White Buffalo Calf Woman showed the people how to use the pipe. She filled it with kangsasa, which is red willow or cherry bark and tobacco. She walked around the lodge 4 times after the manner of the great sun. This represented the circle without end, the sacred hoop, the road of life. The woman placed a dry buffalo hair on the fire and lit a pipe with it. This was the fire without end, the flame to be passed on from generation to generation. She told them that the smoke rising from the bowl was the breath of the great Creator, the living breath of Grandfather, and the great mystery. White Buffalo Calf Woman showed the people the right way to pray, the right words and the right gestures. She taught them how to sing the pipe-filling song and how to lift the pipe up to the sky, towards Grandfather, and down towards Grandmother Earth, and then the 4 directions of the universe. With this holy pipe, she said, you will walk like a living prayer, with your feet resting upon the earth and the pipe stem reaching into the sky. Your body forms a living bridge between the sacred beneath and the sacred above. The pipe holds this all together. Grandfather, the great Creator, smiles upon us because now we are as one. Earth, sky, all living things. The 2-legged, the 4-legged, the winged ones, the trees, the grasses, together with the people. They are all related, all one family. The pipe holds them all together. Look at this bowl, she continued. Its stone represents the buffalo, but also the flesh and blood of the red man. The buffalo represents the universe and the 4 directions because he stands on 4 legs for the 4 ages of man. The buffalo was put in the west by Grandfather at the making of the world. It holds back the waters. Every year he loses 1 hair, and in every one of the 4 ages he loses a leg. The sacred hoop will end when all the hair and legs of the great buffalo are gone, and the water comes back to cover Mother Earth. The wooden stem of this pipe stands for all that grows on the earth. 12 feathers hanging from where the stem joins the bowl, the backbone joining the skull. This is the spotted eagle, the very sacred bird who is the Great Spirit's messenger, and one of the wisest of all who cry out to Grandfather. Look at the bowl. Engraved in it are 7 circles of 7 sizes. They stand for the 7 ceremonies you will practice with this pipe, and for the 7 sacred campfires for our Lakota nation. White Buffalo Calf Woman then spoke to the women, telling them that it was the work of their hands and the love that grows in their hearts which kept the people alive. You are from the Mother Earth, she told them. What you are doing is as great as what the warriors do, and therefore the sacred pipe is also something that binds men and women together in a circle of love. It is the one holy object of which both men and women have a hand. The men carve the bowl and make the stem. The women decorate it with bands of colored porcupine quills. When man takes a wife, they both hold the pipe at the same time. The red cloth is wound around their hands, tying them together for life. White Buffalo Calf Woman had many things for her Lakota sisters in her sacred bundle: corn, pemmican, and wild turnip. She taught them how to make the hearth fire. She filled a buffalo pouch with cold water and dropped a red hot stone into it. This is the way you shall cook the corn and the meat, she told them. White Buffalo Calf Woman also talked to the children because they have an understanding beyond their years. She told them that what their fathers and mothers did was for them, that their parents could remember being little once, and that they, the children, would grow up to have little ones of their own, and they must learn the traditional ways so that they can pass them along to their own children. She told them, you are the next generation. That's why you are the most important and precious ones. Someday you will hold this pipe and smoke it. Someday you will pray with it. She spoke once more to all the people. The pipe is alive. It is a red being showing you a red life and a red road. And this is the first ceremony for which you will use the pipe. You will use it with Grandfather, the Creator. She told the Lakota that they were one of the purest among the tribes, and for that reason, the Great Spirit had bestowed upon them the Holy Peace Pipe. They had been chosen to take care of it for all the Indian people on Turtle Island, North America. She spoke one last time to Standing Hollowhorn, the chief, saying, remember, this pipe is very sacred. Respect it, and it will take you to the end of the road. The 4 ages of creation are in me. I am the 4 ages. I will come to see you in every generation cycle. I shall come back to you. The White Buffalo Calf Woman then took leave of the people, saying, I shall see you again. The people saw her walking off in the same direction from which she had come, outlined against the red ball of the setting sun. As she was walking away, she stopped, and in the same manner as when she arrived, she lowered herself down to the ground and rolled over 4 times. The first time, she turned into a yellow buffalo. The second, into a red one. The third, into a black one. And finally, the 4th time she rolled over, she turned into a white female buffalo calf. A white buffalo is one of the most sacred living beings you could ever encounter. White Buffalo Calf Woman disappeared over the horizon. As soon as she had vanished, buffalo appeared in great herds, allowing themselves to be killed so that the people might survive. And from that day on, our relations, the buffalo, furnished the people with everything they needed: meat for their food, skins for their clothes and teepees, and bones for their many tools. It is said that the White Buffalo Calf Woman appeared later on to a young warrior whose troubled heart yearned for a good future for his children, for a future without the prospect of continual war and division, a future of peace. White Buffalo Calf Woman advised him to seek the vision of a mother's heart for the love of her children. In 1994, a white buffalo calf was born on a farm in Wisconsin, the first white buffalo born in decades. Some believe she was the fulfillment of the prophecy that the returned White Buffalo Calf Woman will herald the advent of an age of peace and harmony. Another white buffalo calf was born on June 4th in the Lamar Valley in the northeastern corner of Yellowstone Park, which was when I was debating this podcast, and thus I I decided to go forward with it. As the White Buffalo Calf woman said as she left the Lakota people, "Someday, when times are hard again, I shall return to stand upon the earth as a white buffalo calf with black nose, black eyes, and black hooves." Maybe she's back. Maybe she isn't. But in these trying times, I hope we can remember our interconnectedness as she taught her people so long ago. Hopefully, this is a sign that things will be better and there will be more blessings for us as we go forward in our journey. I give thanks to you for joining me on my journey and on this podcast. For more great stories and legends, check out the Jaguar Bird channel on YouTube. And of course, join me next week for another story here on Tales from the First Nations. I'm Jay Idle, and I'll talk to you next time. Music for the opening and closing of this show was provided by my dear friend Scott Brocklesby. And our podcast image was provided by Mark Lawton. We'll see you next time. All right, that's it. How'd we do, Dawa? Phones? Excellent. Then I'll share it.